is where now ghetto mentality comes in, where I'm trying to fight you because we are not the same. The moment you put that barrier of we are not the same, hapo ndio kila kitu inaangukanga, because now I can attach us. Bro, unajua Dizo anakuanga na vidole 6. Mimi niko na 5, I'm better than him. Bro, that is where these things come from. You are trying to prove that you're better than someone else, but in you trying to prove it, you realize that, bro, you are just the same fucking thing, but you are not evolving. But somebody else has evolved beyond you and is using you for the same things you are discovering. That is why I was taking akina TMP na Karembo. Science and stupidity is komali moja. Because one, terminology. This is what we've been talking about this shit for a very long time. I think since we started this podcast. Terminologies, how people define things. Hapo ndio unapata kuna shida. Because you see, how you define things prove whether you're right or wrong. But who proves that you're right or wrong? Hapa ndio kwenye unaingianga, the majority wins and the minority wins. And then you start to discover that geniuses are 1 in a million. So they are not the majority. These are people that have decided, bro, we don't give a fuck about what you think, but we are going to push it either way. Let's see what comes out of this. But those guys are the ones that are pinned down. I am accepting that not all of us can be in the same place here at least we're a genius, but do all of us understand that we cannot all be geniuses? Mimi ndio inakuanga swali yangu Dizo. Sijui nimepotea.
Uko tu sawa man, like as in mimi hata my issue hiyo part ya what I've realized especially on terminology is we are actually talking the same thing. Most of the time you'll realize we are talking the same thing. But the problem is we don't want to speak based on context. Like I realized respect might mean obedience in one side, and respect in another side, it might mean, mutual discussion, mutual talking. Me growing up, I didn't know what you could be respect meant. That we can talk, I can talk back to you. I grew up knowing respect is fear.
Mm-hmm.
But you're meeting other people, you're realizing mtu anakuja anakuambia wewe sasa unataka ni kurespect aje ama unataka ni kuogope.
What are
Is
you
when you're
doing?
realizing you're realizing kumbe yenyewe it's not what I knew. So when I'm talking about respect, I have to stick to the context. What do you understand by respect? And there was someone who said there are things that need to be taught. Wacha nakupatia TMP after this. There are things that need to be taught from childhood. Law and psychology. Bro, those are things as if I kuwekwa ati hizo ni career options. Because law isn't in the context. Ask. You might assume this is a white t-shirt. Kumbe someone is colorblind, bruh. Fight. So you can ask again, what color is this? So that you can remain in the context. So most of our conversations is always based on a standardized version of terminologies. We all think that when I say I love you, I mean what you think I mean. I might say I love you, kumbe what I really mean is I really wanna fuck you. But how do I get that pussy? Yet you, when I say I love you, what you are hearing is going to bullet for you. two different meanings because the context is totally different. You know, TMP,
Yes, Diva.
I'm seeing your hand is up.
Yeah, na naona conversation imesonga, but nilikuwa tu nataka ku point out more on ile part yenye ulikuwa unaongelelea about I don't know if it was you or Baiko akisemea about stupidity, like okay, najua mmesema vitu mob, so I'm trying to connect all of them. So I think Baiko started by saying we're all stupid, and actually when you come to think about it, there's so many things beyond the system, beyond what the system has created, the structures that are there that we don't even get to understand, really, you don't know about. And you see, now the biggest part is that part of accountability, accepting that you don't know about it, accepting that hata hizi vitu zingine zote zenye accepting that particular thing is the hardest part. Because like if you admit, for instance, you're a victim of the system, for instance, then that puts you at two positions. You either do something about it or you stay a victim. And you see, when it gets to a point of you have to do something about it, then that means you have to put in work, you have to hold yourself accountable. And the other option is to just be blissful. Yes, you know you're not doing it, you know your role that you're contributing to, and still just decide to be blissfully about it. And then I use the example yenye mmekuwa mkimention sana hapa, the political one, for instance. That's why when sometimes conversation inakuja and people say that the leaders that we have are as a results of the of the kind of people that, or rather are a reflect god enyewe nimechoka, are a reflection of the kind of people that we are in the society right now. So you find that that is actually true. Jew, okay, the leaders that we have are they themselves are as a result of systems that began kitambo, and them getting to this point again, and them being able to come and tap to that particular thing that we all relate to, like the thing yenye um, everyone feels they should identify with, then that makes it easier for them to get what they want. That is why, Dizo, you're talking about something like if you decide to do things differently, if you realize a place that you can play in the game that you're doing it differently from others, you'll find that it's going to be, you're going out of the normal for what the society is done for, what the society has been used for, what has been created. Why are you going against that? And I think one of the examples you give is, for instance, easy policies when unapata they are made, for instance, in fact, most of the times is they study the feedback from the system itself. So let's say they didn't even know something about fisheries was making money and stuff like that. Like people would just go and fish in a local place and get their fish and go and sell them or go and cook them. And then they realize, actually, they're making something out of this. So what does the system do? Now they want to come and over oversee that particular area. So what do they do? They start now bringing things like acts, or you can't fish in certain rivers, or what. And what happens? The people now behind who are gotten to understand that this is going to happen are the ones who usually, or rather, are pushing for that particular policy to happen. So that's why you'll find some of them will be either to the interest of the people, depending on who was formulating it, or others will not be to the interest of the people at all, because now that particular point for them, they're looking at their benefit, not the benefit of everyone else. So I think generally, or rather the conclusion I would put right now is many things we want to. I even look at just Kenya, the way things are run, and there is just quite a lot that we don't have understanding of, like what the laws that guide, for instance, the interaction between Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda, the whole East Africa and different other countries, that law, before something is done, how it's passed, all that. There is quite a lot of details for us to get to really grasp, to understand. the moment you start to dig, ni kama sahi recently what has happened, Kenyans getting to understand. I think now a bigger chunk of Kenyans can say they understand the process of making a bill and act because of the finance bill last year, because now that is something that was brought to light. But a while ago, of course, just a few people knew about it. So you realize how many other things that we don't know. Sometimes you talk to someone and they tell you these laws that are put towards, let's say, if it's different sectors, really, even beauty, there is a whole role that is put. Um, there is a whole institution that has the role of making sure, for instance, if it's beauty stuff that are brought in here, they have to be tested and stuff like that. So the moment you get to understand that there is quite a lot out here that you don't know, then it becomes easier for you to be curious. And again, one word that Dizo has been highlighting the whole evening that I really also want to talk about is intentionality. I think the whole thing is about intentionality. The moment your life becomes intention, hadi venye story bike ametoka kusema, you find someone has gotten pregnant the first kid, and then kidogo tena ndo huyo ameshika mimba ingine, and now you have to marry this person, yet you didn't even love them or you didn't want them. Unfortunately, or rather the sad reality of the society right now, well, there is still quite a number of people that is what is happening. Because, I'm just going to read this one screenshot that I came across the other day that couples up all this actually. It was about, okay, I'll read it out. People are strange. They lose their minds over a delayed train, snap of a slow barista, let a spilled coffee ruin their day. But when it comes to the big stuff, job, die quietly, wasting years on autopilot, that particular one, nothing, no urgency, no reaction, which is small problems like
TMP, I
emergencies
don't know whether it's me or it's your
and
network.
the real emergencies
TMP.
like background. Now they're hiring years on autopilot. What happens is if you're not intentional in your life, realizing a lot has passed and you didn't really know of it. Reminds me in question I was asked earlier on if
TMP. I don't know whether it is. This one unasikia TMP?
She's breaking. Hata sidhani kaa nakusikia.
Oh, nilikuwa fikiria ni mimi peke yangu bana.
She's really breaking.
Yeah, but I'm getting what she's saying in terms of some of these forms that we are talking about. Are you approaching them from a point of intentionality? But that is basically what we're talking about, Dizo, consciously. Are you doing some of these things consciously? Because you start to realize that only when you do them consciously do they yield results, mostly positive results.
Yeah, and that's where the ghetto mentality can be weaponized. It's only weaponized to the people who are unconscious. But for the people who are weaponizing it, it's positive for them. It's working for them. For me to be a leader, I can't wake up people who are unconscious. I need them to follow me like sheep. What will I do? Maybe introduce some tribal war. Maybe introduce ghetto versus rich people so that they feel like they are not the same people. You know, so that even when you're from the ghetto, when you make it, you still don't feel like you belong to the rich people. Bado uko na ile, oh, unajua mimi ni mtu wa ghetto. Oh, I'm from the ghetto. So for as long as you are unconscious, you'll always be divided from within. And the moment you're divided from within, everything you look at outside will be a versus thing. it will be me against this against this. You won't look at yourself from a point of now like genuine connectivity. So yeah, like I, it's like what we say, bad and good. It's bad and good according to who, and it's good according to who. So when we're speaking about ghetto mentality, it's a weapon against who and according to who. Because when you're aware, my friend, it can't be weaponized against you. Someone can't come and tell you, people from the ghetto don't get this. You'll be like, no, me, I'm from the ghetto, but I get what you're saying. Or, oh, people from the rich family don't understand struggle. You'll be like, no, I'm from a rich family and I understand struggle. So the idea is just to stay grounded and be in the present, be in the now, and live your life intentionally on in the now. That way, in a conversation, it will be based on context, not based on assumptions. When you're told, hey, you know what, you're stupid, instead of being triggered and reacting, you'll be curious as to why do you think I'm stupid? As in, Amma, what have I done? What have you seen that makes you come to that conclusion? That way, you're not reacting. You're actually responding to situations as they are. So it makes it very difficult for someone to attack you. It makes it very difficult for someone to disorient you with words, because labels are the things that are being used to now to distract you from pursuing something that maybe you're onto something. You'll be hit with the label. You start waking up and being aware that, hey, you know what, um I really don't need to take care of a woman. You're termed as a misogynist. A woman wakes up and says, hey, you know what, I think I can do the same job the man is doing. Why am I not getting the same pay? The woman is hit with a label, oh, you're trying to be masculine. And yet, behind the scene, we are all being taken to school. So what's the essence of the school? Why are we not applying the things we went? What was the education for? Why is it that now we go to educate, after education, we still come back and still have a gender issue? We are making everything into a gender issue. Oh, women behave like this. Oh, men behave like this. It's ignorance, man. It's just total ignorance. And that ignorance, the worst part is it comes from a place where people don't want to hold themselves accountable. The reality is so harsh, you can't face it because you are living a lie from within. Pako kujo, saizi hebu imagine tu uambie mtu, by the way, you are ignorant. Immediately they'll react. What do you mean I'm ignorant? Why are you abusing me? And yet it's a reality. Based on the context, maybe you're ignorant about something. Instead of you just sitting back and be like, hey, by the way, maybe I'm really ignorant on this. Let me sit back and learn something from it. So anything, anything works based on how you approach it. You can use ignorance for your win. You can use or you can use ignorance to victimize yourself. So it's either you are unconscious or you are conscious. There's a post hapo nilipata Twitter, hata nimeiweka hapo juu. It says the greatest technology hidden from you is your own consciousness. In my self-awareness packages, I always ask people, who are you? Who are you beyond the roles, beyond the titles, and beyond the societal expectation? Who are you? Most people can't answer that question. You ask someone, who are you? They'll be like, oh, I'm an empathetic person. I love, sijui I do what. All those things are just roles. Sijui I'm a wife of three, sijui I'm a husband, sijui I'm an engineer, sijui I'm what. All those things, roles, titles, and societal expectations. Who is you beyond the conditioning? You know, for as long as you can't answer that question, then you're living on autopilot. You're not consciously living, because you can't be intentional if you don't know who you are.
So Dizo, as we land and as we end the show, who is Dizo? Who are you?
I'm a rebel at heart, bro. Big time. I really don't. I have a problem with conforming. So I'd say I'm a rebel at heart. I'd say I'm a free spirit. I value spontaneity above structure. I'd say I'm a curious explorer. I'd say I'm a storyteller. Like, I can process life through narratives, through metaphors. And I'd say I'm an emotional alchemist. Because man, I can transform pain into wisdom, bruh.
Unaguza kila pale,
So
alafu
yeah,
hiyo peni yako yote kwa wisdom.
Buddha. Una, so yeah, I can say I'm that. So I think the best place where you can get your identity is from who you were as a child before you were conditioned. Go back and remember who that child was.
Unajua Dizo, ungekuwa tuko kanisa moja, watu wangesema I'm blasphemous. I keep on telling people to go back to your childhood state. Kuwa mtoto, uone wewe ni nani. Mimi nikiwa mtoto nilikuwa naambia mimi ni mchokozi. Sasa sina njia ingine. Sasa nywele uchokozi ilitoka mapema. Sasa ningefanyaje?
Wewe ni mchokozi kuliko mchochezi.
Bra,
Mnyonyezi.
I define the word mchochezi. Anyway, man, naona kuna jamaa anaitwa shit, he was called Ronnie. He was on the mic, man. But Dizo, you see, one thing we keep on talking about, and I think unajua, I think Dizo, kenye tunafaa kufanya, we need to figure out a way to make ourselves premium. That is, embrace the darkness in the rabbit hole. Premium, bro. And it is for these two reasons. One, some of the things we talk about, you're not ready to hear yet. This is the 1%. This is that narrow mindset. And the problem of the narrow mindset is that it is not for everybody. It is for the 1%. Shida ya 1%, kama uko on the wrong side and you're considering yourself to be 1%, you will feel it is very expensive. But it is not expensive to them. That's why I gave the example of the gold stick. Hiyo si yako, wewe ndo maana una complain. It's not for you. But kuna mtu wako like, bro, bota nijikumbushe venye hapa kulikuwa kuna kaa. For me, I do two things. When people give me their problems, I laugh at them. In fact, nimekosana na watu wengi juu ya hiyo juu. Wanafikiria sielewi kenye wanasema. Bro, I laugh at you. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you've gone through, but I will make sure I laugh at you so that you understand. I am seeing what you are saying and I am laughing at it because wewe ndio umeanza. There's step 2, 3, 4, 5. Bro, it's a process, a fucking process, bro. Hakuna ati wewe ni mwerevu all of a sudden. Aje. You must pass from somewhere, bro. I remember I got to places that I never thought I would get because I thought I was cleverer than that. But I realized that I am just as stupid as the other person that passed through this thing. In fact, now I'm respecting him for passing through that thing when he was young. I keep on saying this, man. You imagine you eating your pension while you are at 70 years, bro. Kuna mtu alikula hiyo pension akiwa 20 years. Like, I'm going the same boat. For you, you've just discovered it. That somebody discovered it a long time ago and has done exactly that and has improved on that.
Unajua bike unaguza hapo kwa pension na unadunga mali ufai kudunga.
Tumesema ni hakuna njia nyingine.
Uyugi alishakula pension yake.
Amemaliza.
Alishamaliza pension bana. Kina Sultan ndio sasa wamekaa huko wanangoja.
Hey bro, sasa ni ghost worker.
Dizo, remember I'm the oldest here.
Bra. Hakuna njia ingine. As in there's levels to shit, but you just have to accept that you're stupid enough not to understand that there's levels to that. Because one, you're still fighting that information you're getting. Information has a funny way of getting to you, bro. Whether you like it or not, it will get to you. How you interpret it sasa hapo ndio kwenye kuna kuanga na tofauti kubwa, because here is where you distinguish stupid people and clever people. Because stupid people understand that, bro, I don't know shit, but I'm willing to learn. But clever people are like, bro, I know shit, and I'm not willing to understand anything. Hapo ndo kwenye watu huachana. We had this reference for a very long time, and I don't think people understood what it meant, that the D students employ the A students. It is not that they're employing them because they have the money. No. It is they employing them because they understand that wewe bado hujajua kenye umesoma na kenye imekuleta kwangu ni vitu mbili tofauti sana. Wewe uko hapa kwangu juu ya survival. Because if it was not about survival, you would go to the same student that got A like you and he would have employed you, but umekuja kwangu. That is where ghetto mentality takes you. You do not want to accept that, bro, I need to grow. And how am I growing? I'm not in the same environment that I'm in. I've already conquered that. What else? The problem of a blunt sword is that you will keep on chopping at one thing at the same time. But you call yourself the strongest knight. But when people come to you, you cannot kill them. As in, what growth is that? That is just denial that you are not shit anymore. The shit is walking around the earth, proclaiming itself as the greatest thing to ever walk, that you can discuss it for one fucking week. And you're talking about shit. Eh? What if it was not shit? Anyway, Dizo unasemaje bro? Tukifunganga.
Chokora kabisa. Umesema unaacha na msemo wa Gen Z, metaphor.
Jesus came with
But
parables, bro. Namna gani?
Anyway, I think I've exhausted my side. I'll repeat what I said when we began the show. There is no right way to do things. There is no correct way. There's no perfect way to do things. There's just your way. Now, what you can get from outside here is just information that aligns with you, then apply it. Not every information, no matter how good that information may sound, is information you have to apply. If you don't relate to that information, wachana nayo. Maybe you're not in the capacity to comprehend it. Don't try to make sense of something that you're not aligning with. Create your own reality. Hapa sijui na bro, no one can advise anyone. People can just give you their opinions. You pick what you can pick, and that's what we do with the rabbit hole. There is no solution here. This is just purely entertainment. Come enter the rabbit hole. You pick what you can pick. Leave what you can leave. Because there was a time I was discussing with someone had a really big problem with. There was a topic I talked about, and he was like, you're misleading people with this talk, nini. So I asked them, what do you mean I'm misleading people? If you look at my content, there's that hashtag of disologic. That's my logic. That's my opinion. How am I misleading people? All these people are following you, you're misleading them. I'm like, they are following me for a reason. What do you mean? So like, I'm not here to tell you something so that you can counter what I am saying. You can have your own, you can say your own, then that's where the conversation comes in. I'll be like, okay, so there's that perspective. I never thought of it that way. Or it can be, okay, I thought about that perspective that way, but I still strongly feel that this other perspective makes sense more than that. That's how a discussion happens. It's not about who's right, who's wrong, because everyone has their own stand, everyone has their own view, everyone has their own reality. Now, if you find yourself taking instructions about how to live your life, I pia wewe endelea tu. You shouldn't even be complaining.
Hizo ndio ulipata hapa sahii kwenye tuko. We in a very precarious state here. Yes, you've already accepted that you're stupid, but unajipata you're being led by the same person that is accepting the same thing you're accepting. At that moment, you're accepting it. So nyinyi wote mnalana pamoja. Ni kama upate mwalimu wako wa maths bana ndio ameanza kusomea hesabu. Some weird shit.
Ni kama tu venye kama sisi wazazi. Unajua mimi kuna time hadi zenye nilikuwa naangalia mtoi niko like, unajua pia wewe unani raise lakini
You don't know.
ni venye tu siwezi kushow uelewe, lakini sawa.
Cheza kaa wewe.
Wewe cheza tu.
It's true. You know, kuna kitu moja Jesus alikuwa anasema. And in fact, I will still go back to this. Mi sasa makosa yangu siogopangi kwenda hapo. Kanisa and the Bible. Bro, these are two different things. I don't know why people explain churches using the Bible. These are two separate entities. One was formed out of the other one, but their description of what is happening is completely different. Jesus always referred to himself as a little child, bro. Mtu ajui kitu yote. Nyinyi ndo mnamwambia anawa question, mnaenda na yeye mpaka kwenye ameform decision yake, mkilemewa sasa shida yenu. But he never referred to himself as anything. And that is where now churches come in. They try to give you solutions for shit you've not even asked for. Akili ya mtu, if you want to actually learn anything in this world, you have to go back to a point whereby you refer to yourself as a child, where you don't know anything. Because remember, opinions in the world are formed because one, majority accepted that, yes, even ndio kunafaa kuenda. Remember, if you are looking at majority, not everybody reads the facts. Mi na accept juu Putin aliri accept, na accept juu Phantom ali-accept. Na accept juu Karembo ali-accept. Accept juu Dizo ali-accept. But sijajifikiriria. The moment I start to ask myself these questions like, hey bro, mbona nafikiria hivi venye nafikiria? That is where the biggest problems comes in, because I start to realize that mi sijalelewa kaa wewe. Mi sina shida kaa zako.
But Michael, the moment you start kujifikiria hivyo, that's the moment unaambiwanga, not even unaambiwa, that's the moment unaonanga, manze kwani nimeanza kuchizi nini?
Bra. Sasa ndo unaona venye umesema vizuri Phantom. Kwani nimeanza kuchizi. As in, you thinking for yourself is equated to mental illness.
Imagine.
What the fuck is that? Imagine you cannot allow yourself to think for yourself. Yaani ukienda ukae peke yako anze kujiongelesha, it's a problem. You start to think about naweza pigia nani mwambie kenye nafikiria. It's already a problem. But ask yourself this, man. How did humans start to think? Si alikaa peke yake akajifikiria. We are here because somebody thought for themselves. As in, Karembo alikuwa anasema vizuri sana ati without that fire hatungekuwa kwenye tuko. As in, kuna mtu alifikiria about hii moto ama hii electricity, hii lightning, ni stima na nikiishika. You see? But nobody wants to go there because society has ganged up against you to tell you that you are thinking wrong. We've seen it in times. Bro, cancel culture imetoka from this kind of things. You don't know that you're canceling, but you are doing it intentionally because you cannot stomach what other people are bringing out. You're seeing somebody else thrive better than you can, but instead of you just saying, hey bro, wacha ni focus on what I'm doing, you go there and say, hey, like what the fuck is going on with you? Ambako unaweza kujiuliza, Elon Musk is thinking about Mars. Mbona uko fixed on Earth?
Unajua hapo ndo the point I normally tell people, the moment you hit your fourth dimension, that's the moment you realize yourself. Until that point yenye ukae chini ujifikirie to a point of you can tell who you are without having a description. As a simple thing, the way Dizo explain the way he is, that's the moment you realize umefika the fourth dimension.
Na sasa ndo unaanza kuelewa Phantom. Dimensions ni mingi.
Dimensions ziko mob.
Umeelewa tu hii. Haujaingia ingine.
Mimi nazingianga mpaka nasema hey.
Na siku moja nilifungua hivi space naona jamaa akiongea alafu nikaona Phantom. Am I looking at the wrong person? Naona outlook kwa space yangu alafu naona Phantom akipeana thumbs up. We're the same people. But I do get you.
But on that aspect of referring to yourself as a child, this is one of my favorite old school Kenyan artists. Yojirifa kama Mtoi. I don't know kama mnamjua. That guy, there's something he once told me. I'll not grow up. Whatever you see me doing is a utoto. That's why I call myself Mtoi. That's Bobby Mapesa. Anyway, Dizo, can you close it up?
AKA Maganji. Tufunge na nini methali ya Gen Z.
Tafadhali hizo mamethali zimenibamba aje.
Wanasema akufukuzaye kuna mechi anapanga.
Sasa Putin, do you know nimeweka red na niko na Karembo hapa sababu umeamua mbaya.
It is what it is.
Mimi nikwambie uzuri ni Phantom haizi kula Karembo. So huyo haizi kuwa na
venye tumechapa. Mwingia YouTube.
Imeivisha. Wewe. Hizo hata denial. Najua itakuumiza lakini
wacha ni deny. Hamta niumiza juu siko hapo. Wacha niingie YouTube niangalie.
Kugongewa ni constant buda. Na si ghetto
Sana
mentality.
kwani ni mimi ndio siko, ni mimi ndio sina, wacha nigongewe. But anyway, I'll just finish na hiyo kitu yenye Phantom alikuwa amesema, hiyo story ya dimensions na kila kitu. I'll repeat, just stay grounded. Manze, just stay grounded. Like there's a lot of information out here and that information sounds good. But if you're not grounded, you'll keep on accumulating information clutter. You can't integrate it because you don't have the capacity to integrate that information. So just stay grounded, stay in the moment. Ishi kama mtoto. Embarrassment is a feeling, it's not a fact. Live like a child, bro. Kama unajipata kwa ghetto mentality, be intentional about it. Kama unajipata una approach punk mentality, be intentional. Like as in any version of you that you're in. The reason why I said defining who you are beyond the roles and titles and societal expectations is important is because now going forward, once you define yourself, you'll be living your life intentionally as you. Meaning, let's take for example, venye mimi I'm a rebel at heart. Anything that requires me to conform, I always question it to the yani mpaka mwisho ndo ni confirm enyewe, is this thing for me ama it's trying to put me in a certain bind, because that's just who I am. So it's going just to be it's going to be effortless. It's not going I'm not going to put any effort in questioning that conformity. Same thing as me being a free spirit. I don't work well under structures. So meaning if I find myself in a structure, it has to benefit me. I have to be intentional about it. How is this structure benefiting me for me to be here? So that way going forward, when you can define who you are, then all the decisions you'll be making will be based on your truth. They won't be based on survival. They'll just be based on alignment, on who you are. And I'll maliza it with there.
There's a topic we need to talk to, lakini hiyo ni tutaenda hiyo, that's like 10
And then Baiko unapotea ukiingia unapotea, like as in your voice is like it's not straight.
kwako ama kwa kila mtu. Napotea nikiingia.
Sina simu za kila mtu, lakini wacha next time nita make sure nimetap simu za kila mtu ndio nisikie. For now ni kwangu tu.
Najua I slowly exist in people's imaginations. Na kuelewa dizo. Yes, I can't. Siwezi bishana hiyo. Tambaka nishasahau Kenya nilikuwa naenda kusema. But dizo najua leo utalala vizuri sana. I mean,
shida umeingia ukatoka.
Nimeingia nikatoka nikapotelea hazini nikarudisha. Anyway. Dizo. Mambo hapa iko tight. I hope you're tight. But I mean, by tight I mean you're cool. Unajua watu wako wananiangalia ni kama nimesema vitu mbaya.
Tutupie ingine.
Na kuona bro, I'm not boarding.
Bana, mimi siku board, relax.
Tupe ingine ya Gen Z.
Consent.
Wanasema wahenga na wahenguzi hawakupaka Elsa Majimbo mafuta yote. Waliposema mwenda tezi na omo anakula mamafua.
Sasa shida dizo si mamafua. Dizo kuna class standards. Shiona dizo.
Usiniforce, sinaga standards bro. Sinaga standards. Mimi by the way I create my standards based on the moment. So leo naweza sema spendi skari alafu kesho iko wenyewe I'm low on sugar bana.
Umeanza kuliwa na wakulima.
put me.
No,
Put
I don't understand that.
Unajua hata hiyo mama fua anaweza kuwa udemitoje Banis. Just Google. Ingia TikTok kuangalia Banis. Anaweza kuwa ni Banis.
Kama wewe. Jamaa huyu afaa kuinvestigatiwa bwana. Mambo yake si mzuri. But anyway, man, you know, Giddizo, we keep on talking about. I don't think these are two things. I mean, actually, let me say three things that need to happen. One, is we need to get to a point whereby we understand that our personal experiences are completely separate. Mimi na wewe hatuko mahali moja. But the only place we get to, that is now number 2, is where we talk about these experiences. Third is nothing is definite. There's always room for interpretation. As in, how do you explain the dictionary keeps on changing through years? Nothing is definite. Hizo wazara tumewekewa bado tunaenda tukizi-explore, tunaenda tukibadilisha nini. Tunabadilisha tu pole based off our understanding of what we are learning over and over and over again. Kuna kitu moja Putin amesema hapa ya wahenga na wahenguzi. Wahenga at one point used to be very wise people. But what is wahenga these days? It's just an old person. What are the chances that an old person is wise? Now, and I'm not talking about the past, bro. We have seen old people that, bro, can barely rub 2 brain cells together.
Even fools get old.
Exactly, bro. Misha hiyo na mbuzi imezeeka. Lakini bado nataka kupanda zingine. Lakini naambia tu, bro, you come to bro, as in you do get old. The only thing that doesn't get old is your brain. What if your brain gets old? What are you left with? When is shell, bro? You're going to a party with skeletons. There's no body. Kumbaf. Anyway, embrace the darkness in the Rafaki rabbit hole. We here with the soft life God mwenyewe. Mama Kanisa himself. Herself. We have the producers, Phantom, Noah, Kenui.
Ukibocha hiyo jina hivyo tena. Ile fine nitakuchapa.
Kaenda. Bado najua watu walinipea pasi ya no autocorrect, nikaambiwa bro twice autocorrect. Zote kunazo. Nimepewa, so bahati mbaya pole mkubwa. Lakini is Phantom. Giza ndio mingi lakini Mkikuyu. Acha tuseme hivyo. Kuna jamaa mwingine anaitwa hapa Putiai. Kile usikie pale, acha nikuwekee Putiai. Mr. Putiai mwenyewe.
Embrace your darkness in the rabbit hole. Embrace your darkness in the rabbit hole, hosted by Soft Life Dizo, The God, Askofu Papa Baiko, and Mama Kanisa Kamom Karembo. Produced and directed by Putuwine and Phantom Noir.
Guiding you through the dark, Karembo Mama Kanusa, sensual after bringing you back to life. Super producers, Phantom Noir and Putin, capturing the distant, never missing a beat. Embrace the darkness in the rabbit hole, that's where we are. In your minds, that's where we are. Feel the winds of change, embrace it in your heart. Let's go, embracing your darkness, baby, that's where we at. Slow and steady as we slide deep into the rabbit hole, so slow. Oh yeah, oh yeah.